down from the stage to the streets. We're going to start with a song that my fave Ben and I are going to offer. It's a thank you song. It's a thank you song for Mother Earth. And it's in Nahuatl, which is from Mexico. Wanted to end this series on a new note and be able to kind of shift into another way of doing work and talk about what that looks like, another way of visioning together. A lot of us on the panel, that's like the work that we do. There's an intentionality in the way that we use our voices and and we'll talk about what we call it, because I hesitate to call it art, because there's all kinds of different perspectives on what are we doing here, and so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So we're first going to have a discussion about what we do, and why we do it, and what we call it, and what we don't call it, and then we'll move in to some performative pieces at the end of the evening to talk about how we use this way of being to organize and to reach hearts and minds. So,
Liza, we need to turn it up a little bit.
Need to turn it up a little bit?
A little bit closer, yeah.
Thank you, Craig. So we're going to ask everyone to just do a brief introduction of who you are and what you do, and then after that, we'll like what you call what you do, and then we'll move into a discussion of why we call it that, and what we're trying to do with it. So. My name is Eliza Perez Oling, and I'm an artist and a singer and a cultural organizer and moving into entertainment justice. This is some stuff that I borrowed from some of the panelists, like Women Rice. A little bit of a poet. I'm a visual artist, a painter, and a community builder, and a culture creator.
Buenas noches. My name is Maite Penman. I am originally from Mexico. I have been working in Detroit for 28 years. And so I have a hard time defining who I am, because I am here with these awesome people who are performers and artists, and I don't call myself that. But I do work in the community, and what I do is a collective effort of women and families that try to create something out of nothing sometimes because there are not funds out there. But we try to, do things that are of interest to the women that I work. And so I would say that I am a community builder, that I use culture as a part or as a tool to build what I do.
Peace, everybody. My name is Tawana. I'm also known as Honeycomb. My bio says I'm a mother, an organizer, author, and a poet. For the purposes of the art form that Eliza's asking about, I'm a visionary resistor. So I use art as visionary resistance, and that's how I teach my art form, and that's how I use my voice to articulate through literature, readings, writings, performance, so social justice. So 99.9% of my art, that's not about the relationships I suck at, it's about visionary resistance. But I'll also say that, like Erykah Badu, I am still an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
What up, though? My name is Will C. I also go by William Copeland, depending on the circumstance. I'm an environmentalist and also a cultural organizer. I was born here in I was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and my folks, we moved to Detroit when I was about 2 years old because they wanted a better place for a black boy and a black family to grow up. Both of my younger siblings were born in Detroit. Both of my parents were born in the South. And so when I say cultural organizing, well, one, I tell that story because many people don't think of Detroit as a place, well, maybe now they do, a place where people choose to move. It's becoming such a little bit. But, what does this mean to say that Detroit is a better place for black people, or was a better place? I'm not sure if it is now, but these are the types of things that we're going to talk about. And I think that my argument and my statement and my lineage is that the reason why it was a better place was because of the culture. And because of the culture that I didn't create, but I inherited. And it was created and it set a certain milieu for us in the 80s for us to benefit from, and for us to be the people that you see, standing above us that have something to offer, to the next generation. So that's the reason why I call myself a cultural organizer, is because I'm trying to work with the milieu of Detroit and make it be that place for new Africans, but also for a variety of people that want to call themselves Detroiters, that have a mind, a heart, consciousness, and humanity, and are willing to take the burden of what it means to be a Detroiter. So that's my thing, and that's my little thing on the culture of Detroit.
Peace.
Peace.
I am Bryce Detroit, founder of Detroit Recordings, co-founder and director of a number of cultural-based neighborhood revitalization efforts in the North End. Identity, my whole world of work is rooted in identity. As a record producer, music producer, who's with the specialty of identity and lifestyle branding for development. Boom, my work is entertainment justice. And entertainment justice is entertainment professionals, on one level, entertainment professionals intentionally intersecting with social, environmental, climate, racial, economic justice to use the modalities of entertainment, which on the bottom line level, entertainment is designed to appeal to your emotional body, whereas, for instance, like political art or politicized art is designed to speak to your intellect. So it's bringing the devices of entertainment, emotional impression to the movements to help really create comprehensive, poignant campaigns and narrative strategies that really are impacting the desired audience. Because the first iteration of my career was in corporate entertainment, then my professional identity exists in two spaces and is qualified distinctly in both spaces. For the last 8 years in the justice movements, in the grassroots social justice spaces in Detroit, elders call me an activist. And based on the media-based organizing that is my style, then have learned that it's a whole realm of work called media-based organizing. It would be my priority to root my work in ancestral and indigenous identity and lifestyle, which had other activists in the space calling me a cultural organizer. So it's like, all right, bet, boom, cultural organizer. In the entertainment space, identity-wise, music producer, performing artist. In this social practice, which is like this middle space, where we're commodifying certain aspects of our professionalism, and in doing so, creating a work that 100% creates community benefit. In that realm, I'm a cultural designer, intentionally creating physical and programmatic infrastructure that creates new opportunities for diasporic African and indigenous people in Detroit to investigate identity, cultural lifestyle, and practice new behaviors that will build the sustainable new.
So this first part of the evening is really going to be a conversation. So we're going to have to like look at each other, and you know, when we want the microphone, when we hear something that inspires us or that kind of moves us forward, it's not going to be a formal panel. You know what I'm saying? And so we'll kind of keep looking at each other. We'll use all our senses and our intuitions and our awarenesses of each other. You know, and we'll point and kind of go back and forth. But we did a little bit of introduction, and we just wanted to kind of start the conversation with a little bit of why you do what you do, or why do you call it the things that you call it. And that would kind of be like the opening question. If there's anybody that, I'll say a little quick story just as people are thinking through their minds. I'm very happy to work with Semester in Detroit, you know, and to touch and to work with college students. When I was a graduate student, I thought that I wanted to be a professor, and I thought that I wanted to touch people in that way. But at the same time, I started getting into hip hop. And in that particular time in the early 2000s, Ann Arbor had a very dope and thriving hip hop scene. And I'm not going to go into very much detail, but it was very beautiful. You see 8 to 10 people on stage, different groups, different crews, all sorts of things. Detroit cats will come up to Ann Arbor for hip hop, et cetera, et cetera. And so here I am, you know, working on a master's in philosophy at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And as I was meeting different folks and just hanging out at hip hop shows, just started talking to cats. And one of the things that I was learning from and talking to my peers is people were talking about some of the most impactful things in their life. And cats would mention certain things like how Public Enemy taught them certain things, and how X-Clan taught them certain things, and even the Wu-Tang Clan helped them to see spirituality and personal identity, and somebody said wisdom. They never really would have thought about what is wisdom if it weren't for the Wu-Tang Clan. And what I'm telling this story is the realization that I had was a lot of the cats that I was talking to, they did not speak very excitedly about colleges, teachers, professors. You know, that's not what would get them passionate and driven about the lessons that they actually learned that they were holding on to. It was these albums, it was these rappers, it was these songs, it was these messages. And so that really showed me the power of this hip hop thing, this power of this music is much more than mere entertainment. You know what I'm saying? And it's the power to give people things that really become a valuable part of their lives, to the extent that when they name some of the most foundational things of their life. So I guess that's what I'm saying is, it was a goal of mine, you know what I'm saying, to make the type of stuff that I wanted to have people have that reaction to, you know, to some of my stuff. You know what I'm saying, when they would be in the conversation and say, yo, that Will C, you know, did blah, blah, blah for me, you know, the same way that folks might talk about a Public Enemy or might talk about Nas or might talk about the Wu-Tang Clan. So that's my little story to kind of open the space on what opened the door and showed me the value for this type of work and this type of contribution to our community.
So, as I was saying in the beginning, I come from Mexico. I am from a very small town. And so, growing up, I just realized this because I didn't know how great it was to be in Cape Town. I went to Mexico 2 weeks ago, and it was marvelous. I had a good time. And it helped me to realize that sometimes you had to leave to come back and see the things that you love. So anyway, one of the things that we did when I was growing up was that in our schools they taught us how to do this kind of stuff. And so we did knitting and all of that stuff that now I'm doing. And I think I was telling Eliza that sometimes you do things that are unconscious, that you do it because it's in your back of your mind and you don't realize those talents. So being here in Detroit, I have been working, I worked for 16 years in Head Start. And one of the things that I learned in Head Start is how to network and how to collaborate. It's not about you being in front, it's not about you being the face of whatever you are doing. It's always about collaboration and always empowering the parents that you work with, because you yourself is, you are also a parent. And so you always want to support the people that you work for and that you work with. I am currently working with a group of women, and we are doing basic skills on sewing. We are doing basic skills on crochet. Actually, I have a, like a blanket, so they kind of have an idea of what we do. And I feel so proud of that, because we start with something like this, and then then it ends up to be something like this. And so what we do is we ask women to do. It's a very this doesn't really take a lot. It's only 8 by 8. We collect yarn, we collect material, and people are willing to donate either the labels or the material. Some people say, I don't know how to do this, but I can give you, material. And then some people may say, well, I know how to do the crochet or whatever you want, but we don't have the material, so we exchange from hands to do all this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm kind of emotional. Because, like I said, coming from Mexico and just connecting with my land, seeing all the mountains, and knowing that you have the power to do what you want.
I'm happy to go after my tag for a number of reasons. Very similarly, having grown up in Detroit, Michigan, 41 years old, consider myself a yelder, a young yelder. And because I tried being claimed by the millennials and told me I couldn't. The elders told me to sit down, so I created. Anyway, that's a whole nother panel. But growing up that is a Spanish. Growing up in Detroit and suffering under a literal half-century of strategic global propaganda assault. Not just Detroit assault, not just Michigan assault towards Detroit, but literally everywhere in the world buying into the narrative that Detroiters were hopeless, helpless, not productive, didn't care about their city, weren't creative, ran Motown out, you name it, films, music, industry, everywhere you went, someone had something negative to say about where I was being born and bred. And so as an artist, I decided, basically the visionary identity came under the expert tutelage and guidance of one of my mentors who has passed on, Grace Lee Boggs. And so being under her guidance and learning more about what it means to be visionary and create the opportunity in the crisis, I started to use my art as a way to not only articulate what was actually happening, but also also counter the narrative that was dominating Detroit. And so I use my art, my writings, my literature to create an opportunity for people of all ages to learn the true narrative of Detroit, counter the narrative that exists about Detroit, and create vision for where we could go. And so that's not accepting or pushing back against some of the things that may be true about where we live, but it's understanding the systemic roots of some of the conditions that currently exist in Detroit. And so that's why I consider myself a visionary resistor. That's why I teach workshops called Poetry as Visionary Resistance. And that's why I authored 4 books, my first one being in 2011, and then 3 books subsequent to that, a curriculum guide, a reader, and 2 poetry books. And so, yeah, so when you grow up in a city where everyone tells you that you need to grow up and get out, like that, I was educated in that way. Like my mother was educated in that way. You know, Detroit was not the place you could grow and thrive. Detroit was the place you got out of. And yet, I started to notice that the place that I was taught to get out of, everybody was coming to. And I'm like, well, if it's so bad here, why everybody want to come here? Like, why am I trying to leave, but everybody's trying to come? So you have to start to do some studying if you can't find it in the school systems, which, public or private, we've all been educated the same way, mostly in Detroit. We've all been educated the same narrative about ourselves. And so like Mate, I spent a short stint outside of Detroit. Probably 5 of my years out of my 41 years was spent outside of Detroit because I bought into the narrative that said I had to leave. And once I got out there and realized that it wasn't nothing better than my city, I came back home. So, and I'll leave y'all with one of Grace's famous quotes in American Revolutionary, The Evolution of Grace Lee Boggs, the very beginning of the film, she says, I feel so sorry for people who are not living in Detroit. So, sorry, I'm a Detroit snob. I borrowed that from the brand.
Trying to think a little bit about my path of how I developed. I think I thought of myself as an artist first, and it's reminding me of what you were saying, Tawana, because it was like, even if I wasn't making art, which a lot of the time I feel like I'm not making, I don't have the time, to paint. To paint takes a really, really long time for me. But I'm always seeing as art, so for me it's really about the vision. That's why I call myself an artist, because I always see it, and I feel like a lot of it came from growing up in Detroit because I had to see something beautiful. So sometimes I had to imagine that and like find the, in terms of like just, you know, growing up around a lot of, you know, vacant houses or burnt out, you know, houses and stuff, and just always finding the beauty, in chipped paint and the different colors that would come through, and like the little plants in the cracks of the sidewalk, and just always finding beauty in the patterns of broken windows or whatever it was. I was always looking for that. I thought that everybody did that. So when like the whole ruin porn thing happened, I was like, you know, like I had always seen those things as beautiful. So I think that's where it started, and I would see the beauty in like a photograph that was like completely underexposed and whatever, and you couldn't, you know, so then my family would be like, how do you, and I would paint portraits out of that. You know, I would see some beautiful fierceness in my cousin and like have to paint her. And my family's like, how can you see these things? I just see like this too dark photo, you know, that's like, crap, I was gonna throw that away. And I was like, you know, look at the way she's holding the baby, you know. So that's the first thing, is that it's just a way of seeing those things that would give me strength and that I would want to see and that made me happy. And then just kind of like, I saw the power to do things collectively in terms of community building. That was the word that I wound up using. Like I was already doing like ceremonial singing, and just offered a song one day. This was in 2008. Someone asked for an honor song for someone, and then all the women like rushed up and were like, teach us this song. This was with Native American Indian Association. And they were like, teach us that song. And there wasn't a culture of women really singing, even though locally, like that's like a big thing to like stand behind the drum and sing and watch over the drum and watch over the men. But it just, the women weren't really doing it at that time. And it was just, I saw that the power of that singing together could be in community building. And so, you know, they just asked to learn the song, and they just wanted to keep going, and a lot of them were teachers, and they were like, this needs to be a teaching group, like this needs to be, we need to teach the women and the girls, like that needs to be our mission. And that like I mean, that was, you know, I don't know, the first or second day, like it was already there, that's what we were gonna do together, and it's been 10 years now. And originally it was for the indigenous community, it was something that we were giving to each other, but it's, you know, people heard us that were not Native and wanted to hear those songs and wanted to have us open events and things like that. And so we thought about it, and like I thought, well, you know, like the purpose of it was to help the indigenous community. Part of helping is like bringing the indigenous community out of invisibility, and like so, and also using our using the songs as a way to teach. So it's a way to get the mic and to share what those songs mean, and also share other messages. So, like the song that Maite and I shared is a thank you song, and when we offer thank you songs, we give that teaching that every time we gather, we need to give thanks. That's like a core principle. And so it gives us that opportunity to share cultural teachings. The worldview of our people is in the words of those songs. And so it's a way of sharing that worldview, of learning it, showing that there's something different. And, you know, and I have leveraged it. For example, like with Sawatu, there was a time that I grabbed the mic and got up and sang. And that was a way, there was like 1,000 legal professionals in the room, and I was calling them to action, but I first did it through song. That got their attention, and that moved their hearts. And then I told them, I'm praying right now, and I'm praying for you to join me in prayer for this woman. And I told them the situation. And I said, I want you to make a commitment to her, to what you're gonna do for her. And then someone heard that, and they were like, would you do that at the Buck dinner? You know, so then, and of course they hear the song. you know, would you do that? Would you come out for a song? But I'm always going to bring the message. And so it was a way to get that, and you know, they were really grateful. They said it like, you know, set a really wonderful tone. But for that part, like, so some of the things I do, or that I'm moving into, I consider entertainment justice, but I don't consider that entertainment. That is, for me, ceremony. It's offering something. It's not a performance. It's sacred. And so that's also a whole nother teaching, because sometimes people will be like, they want us to come sing and just sort of like be the background music for them. And we won't do that. And we teach them, we'll come under these circumstances, but the circumstances are we're gonna have the mic, we're gonna teach what these songs mean that we offer, so that there's some learning happening. It's not just a thing for people's entertainment. We're sharing something intentionally so that people learn. And sometimes there's a request made. So that's some of the work that I do.
All right.
One more time with the question. Well, the question one more time.
What do you do?
Because I want to be mindful of time. So in the present, my entertainment justice work, there is a social justice aspect, so to speak, and then there's a economic justice aspect. The economic justice aspect is, first, create a hyper-local music and entertainment economic infrastructure. What that means is essentially create the network of facilities to create, experiment, produce, promote, and distribute music content. And then once that hyperlocal ecosystem is in place, then we're able to intentionally network translocally. And in these intentional networks where it's like, boom, you have people in this region who agree to share content, you have people in this region, in this place, who agree to promote and share your content, then you create your own distribution network. That's the core of, that's the main incentive of the music industry, as people know it. It's this machine, as we call it, represents fucking global distribution. So it just so happens that as a Detroit native, the legacy of Detroit is we once had a hyperlocal music entertainment ecosystem where content was created, produced, promoted, distributed from Detroit, and literally was distributed across the globe. Like, we know that on a cursory level with Motown. Some of us also know it very deeply with the legacy of Submerge and underground resistance. Shout out techno, which is a fucking Detroit African genre of music. So on that tip, they can look at it like, yo, it's in my DNA to support these type of ecosystems. For me, as an activist, we need new pop culture. So by pop culture, my whole thing, regardless of the genre of music that I'm producing, it's always about hitting the largest audience possible. To hit large audiences, then you need channels of distribution and dissemination. So boom. That's one of the reasons why I'm on this entertainment tip, with the entertainment justice tip on the economic justice level. On a social justice level, the pillar of where it's all about creating, promoting new narratives that are broadcasting positive points of lifestyle, self-identity, culture for diasporic, African, and indigenous peoples. Excuse me. That's informed by my career in the conventional corporate entertainment space. My job was to create brand agents. We call them artists, but bottom line, all the artists are brand agents selling through product placement and a lot of times through the lifestyle that they spitting. Like when cats, every time somebody says Molly, then there is a pharmaceutical company that makes money. Right. Period. This is super real. Every time somebody says Adderall, Addy, like prescription drug companies make bank. And it's because they are signing artists who think that they just on some fuck, like, you know what I mean? Whatever pop culture tip saying these things, but you are literally brand agent for the pharmaceutical parent companies or whatever. So, since my job was on a producer tip to create these brand agents, and then on an artist tip to be a brand agent, then on some polarity flip, was like instead of being a corporate brand agent, then Bryce Detroit is live enough to be a cultural brand agent. And to be out here in the community, because that's where the work is. It's in the neighborhoods, it's person to person, but at the same time, the work for some of us is also in front of the cameras. It's also from state to state and nation to nation. It's also in front of 3,000 and 5,000 people, so that we broadcasting these new narratives. And on that entertainment shit, we hitting people where they're supposed to be hit. You know what I mean? So, boom.
So we want to transition into our next, our performative space, but I just want to ask quickly, where you keep starting everything, Bryce. It's awesome. Where does it live for you? So your art or your visionary resistance or your entertainment justice, your cultural organizing, where does it live for you? Is it on the stage, in the streets, or everywhere?
Well, for me, it's not on the stage. I'll be trying all the time. For me, it's, I would say, on the streets, I guess, and the community, the classrooms, in the houses, you know, the kitchens, on the, I mean, whatever it is, but not on the stage.
I would say it's situated on stages quite often or in literature and books, but it lives when it's transferred to other energies and other people. So any opportunity to teach workshops and to work with seasoned folks, elders, and young people and revitalize that love of art within them, that's when it lives, right? You know, here it's just kind of, you know, stagnant, and you're hoping people look and read, but it lives when it can move and maneuver and grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's living right now, and you know, and in the transmissions that folks are picking up in this room. If there's any college students that want to get down and get with it, check out the Semester in Detroit program, where you live in Detroit for a semester. It lives there, you know, because people get to touch and feel the Detroit culture for 3 months and get a different experience, and sometimes we change lives. Sometimes we might even be saving lives, to be honest. And you know, we know that we have, in Detroit, we know that our culture has the power to save lives because there are many people that are abused by the mainstream culture, and sometimes they're abused and it's called privilege, but very often they're still being abused by the mainstream culture. So we know what we have. And speaking of what we have, I was told to shout out Emory Douglas, who's coming to Detroit. He's one of the original Black Panther artists. He created an iconic image of the pig to symbolize police brutality. That was his graphic work. There's going to be 3 events next week. Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so that's another place where it lives. And so I think that I love how Tawana said it. You know, it does live in the recordings and whatnot, but it, you know, to me it lives in the transmission from person to person, you know, as the energy is transmitted and people's brains start shifting and their thoughts start changing and their heart starts opening and whatnot.
Okay. So, as a brand agent of African culture, diasporic African culture, and identity, one space my work intentionally lives is in foundation grant reports, as well as my work lives in the memories of program officers. And the reason for that particular audience is the same way that Jay-Z may create a relationship with an executive at Sprint and then convince this, through relationship building or whatever, he ends up convincing this executive to invest money into one of his projects. Well, as a brand agent of culture and hyperlocal culture and activity, then place Bryce in those spaces as to, we'll just use the word convince to be convenient, but to convince program directors, fuck convince, it's not convince, it's to show them exactly what the work looks like, and the people who are the architects and the grassroots leadership, exactly what it looks like, the way that it speaks and articulates, and to that point, it informs them on how to deploy funds in a for real way that will be us-led and self-determined. A lot of my work, it lives, excuse me, it lives in the North End, in the garage, 7615 Oakland Avenue. Having created a space for the past 4 years now for Detroit African indigenous people, as well as all of us though, because you know some real shit, like when we do something, everybody benefits. You know what I mean? So us creating this space as a space to investigate, cultivate, experiment with new points of identity, lifestyle, and culture. It lives in that kind of space because it's important for us to be intentionally creating spaces to figure out who we think we are outside of a consumer context. Because we tend to be super clear on who we are based on social media handles, based on consumer identity. I'm a hiker, I'm a blogger, I'm a extreme bloppity blop, you know what I mean? Like, in any category of product that you can find on Amazon, cats are super articulate on how to, you know what I mean, or speak about themselves in those ways. But in terms of, well, it's like, when we're only buying things to satisfy emotional desires for, you know what I mean, like fulfillment and for real happiness, then it be in those quiet moments after we bought the shit and the cognitive dissonance sometimes of spending too much money, you know what I mean, after that wears off and after the fly shit gets wrinkled, then it's like, what is this feeling for real inside of me still? Where's the space to process that thought? So that's one place that the work lives. The work is about to live a lot more in the marketplace, on some real shit, because I'm finally at a point where I'm transitioning into being a full-time artist. Let me put this out here. For me, artist is a market term. Art is what is created when culture is commodified and put into the marketplace, to me. So off the strength of that, then the root of my work is not art, it's culture. Yet, super comfy interacting with the marketplace. You know what I mean? Because through my content, I'm actually selling the culture. And on a consumer tip, this is where consumerism and spirituality intersect, regardless to how you view spirituality, or you may not even think this shit exists. When we make a conscious decision with currency, which is an electric word, an energy word, even if we're talking about fiat, currency is what the word is. That's the objective right there. So when we are consciously transacting currency on a thing, then the emotional impression that happens is something that we've all experienced. Whenever we go buy some shit that we really want, it feels a certain way. So to be able to sell and enter the marketplace with holistic, healing, transcending entertainment, then it's people choosing to invest spiritually and emotionally into a new culture. So we need that shit.
And I would be remiss if I didn't tell y'all could pick up this holistic, transcendent entertainment culture at Can Books, 9405 John R. at the corner of John R. and Kenilworth. It's a Black-owned cooperative bookstore that I'm proud to be a member of. So I won't tell y'all the online mechanisms you can purchase the book, but go and purchase the book from that Black-owned cooperative bookstore called Can Books, K-A-N Books.
So I've been saying to some of my friends up here that just talking about the power of see, I do call them art forms. I call them, like, I'm comfortable with sacred arts. So for me, like, and that can't be commodified. It's taboo for, like, ceremonial things to be commodified. So I don't want to I don't want to let that go. I don't want to let the marketplace have that word. For me, I'm like, keeping that. But the power that these forms have to move us, Bryce and I and Halima have been planning, as part of the Suwatu Freedom Team, a letter and songwriting event for Suwatu on Thursday. So I told you all about that last week. And Bryce talked about it in terms of, like, we have to raise the love vibe. We have to raise the love vibe for her, and we have to raise the love vibe for ourselves. And so, it has the power to do that. And I had taken Baba Wayne home after one of our last culture nights, and he was talking about Detroit. It wasn't like he wasn't trying to be poetic, but it was like poetry, the way he was saying it. And I was like, almost running a red light, because I was like going outside of my body. Like, I'm like moving into this trance state, and I was like, you have to stop, like, hold on with the poetry. And he's like, what poetry? What are you talking about? I was like, it just, it moves you. And so it has the power to do that. So now we're gonna, Maite is going to give us a visual of some of the work that she does, that she's already described, about how she uses cultural work in her organizing and her community building, and then we'll move into give everybody a taste.
So I'm going to try to be very briefly with this, because some of the stuff I already spoke about. Some of the things that I feel inspired by is to work with families and children. And I also do a lot of work in making sure that the information is available to the families that only speak Spanish, so I do a lot of the translations. Actually, I have a sample of a book from the Riverwise magazine. There are Riverwise magazines on the front, and so there are a mini version of the Riverwise magazine that we translate. We don't translate the whole magazine, we just translate a few articles. So if you want to take a look, I will have them right here for you to see. And then the other one that I was talking about is the culture, particularly the Mexican culture that I am from. And so when I was preparing for this session, I was wondering myself about who I was, and like I said, I was having a hard time defining myself, but I found this description to be very accurate. Because working for HESTA and for the organization that I work, you always have to do collaborations to be effective and to, it's always about the money, and we never had enough money, but if we work together, then our money can go a long way. And so also is our energy. And this is what my intention is. One of the things that I learned growing up in Mexico, my father has all brothers, and my mother has all sisters. And so I always thought that the men had the power until my mother passed away, and then I realized that the one who was doing all the stuff was my mother. And so then my father became more willing to be to listen to us and to really understand what we wanted to do. And so I tried to practice this, with my children. And I try to be more, listen to people so that I also can be listened to. You have to model how you want to be treated. And so that's how I feel about the work that I do. And so with that in mind, we all have creative powers. We are all capable. We just have this misunderstanding that just artists can do that. Just musicians can do that. Just painters can do that. We all can do that. So if you ever think about not being good enough to do something, just think about this question and take time for yourself to reflect. Sometimes when you clear your mind, then things will come, because our mind is always very busy, that you don't give your mind the opportunity to start thinking about creative stuff. So that's a good opportunity to start thinking about who am I and what I can do with my own gifts that the Creator gave us. This particular picture that is on the left was very powerful for me, because when I was working for HESTA, we used to do recruitment, and we used to go and sit and wait for the parents to come. And then we changed the way that we address our outreach, and we started doing creative stuff for the parents. The parents that live here in the United States, especially immigrant parents, and they go to work, come home, and they just want to, take a break away from the responsibilities, because they do hard physical work. And so when they come home, they don't have the opportunity to do creative stuff. And so when we were doing that, parents were really eager to do all of this for themselves. And that's when I learned that this is a good opportunity for us to work with the families in a more creative way. And so this is how we started doing a lot of things that involve hands and thinking about color and papers and And so we also introduced doing the Day of the Dead is a way to celebrate our ancestors and to respect them. And so we, sometimes some of us are first generations, and so it's a way to really respect them, really honor them, and to let them know that we still think about them. And so that's how we use those activities for our families. And so the other thing is in Mexico, Day of the Child is a very important day, and so that was a way for parents to remember when they were in Mexico, and for families to be united, doing nice stuff, at least for one day. So again, those are the same ones, doing things that are, they motivate to do things different to what you normally would do in your daily life. This is the work that we do with Elisa and some of the women that I work. We do sing, and that's the way to remember our language. As you know, Spanish is the language of the conquerors. Thank you. And so we are learning the language to the songs. So that's something that I feel very proud. I was saying in the beginning that sometimes the work was unconscious. With this type of work, we are making it conscious. We are very intentional about our work. And again, some of the pictures that we do, we also do the day of the day. This one here on the bottom, we always do talking circles, and this is a way to learn from each other and from our elders. So we do circles to share knowledge and to share and to learn from one another, like I said. This is the one that I was telling you about, the Stitches of Love. We have different people coming together to share their skills, and so that's, you know. Also, the picture on this side, we are trying to make sure that the women that participate, because we all have talents. She was doing those awesome flowers, and she never saw before. So then on the picture on the bottom, that was her first class, and she did a really good job. And as you can see, she's all smiling. She's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th person on the picture, and she is really super happy that she was able to teach, and now she's teaching the class. And she never did it before, so that was good. And again, you know, the work of the women doing their, you know, activities with their families and in community. And those are the covers of the magazines for the Riverwise. Some of them, again, have been translated into Spanish, not all of them, but that's the intention. That is that eventually it will, some of the magazines will be translated into Arabic. That's our goal, but we are, you know, working on that aspect. Now this one, I'm gonna say Consuela, thank you, because this was a collective work. This video was done for a conference, but I have been in Detroit for 28 years, so I feel part of the city, and so I hope that it will work. And
I didn't originally grow up in Detroit, but it's home. And what I'd love for people to know about Detroit is that the pioneers, the scholars, the artists, the healers have always been here.
Love the diversity and culture that exists here.
We're known for our art, our artists, and our activism.
I came to Detroit when I was brought here as a child because of the opportunities Detroit presented, the history here.
Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech was spoken at Cobo Hall before it was ever spoken in Washington.
The history here is deep. Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. The history of muralism, art, is a century old. Here in Southwest Detroit,
there was so much art, so much culture, so much vitality. It was so easy to get into meaningful conversations with people right away.
You see the diversity of cultures, you see the diversity of age, you see how different people are, but at the same time, we all come together as Detroiters.
Lived in other places before, by far, most friendly, helpful people right here in the city of Detroit. Whether you're in Lisle, clean your cut, or out for dinner at Mexican-town restaurants, you're sure to find interesting and friendly people.
When you move in, your neighbor would actually, like my neighbor brought me an apple pie, my neighbor brought me some barbecue.
When I started my theater company, that's how we did it. We did it the stone soup way. Everybody brought a little something and everybody got something.
What neighbors do to keep their neighborhood strong with or without support, that is a pretty awesome thing to be a part of.
It's friendships, it's families, it's a sense of belonging and taking care of one another.
I
I've chosen to stay in Detroit because it's so vibrant and alive.
Diversity, we got lots of veggies and farms and everything, the space to do it. The food, the restaurants.
Detroit is a winner. As you can see by the decorations in my office, everything here is about winners. The Tigers, the Pistons, the Red Wings, and yes, our beloved Detroit Lions.
Very proud of Detroiter, and I wouldn't be any other place.
It's a city that fights. It fights for the people that other people don't fight for.
We have experienced some of the horror of what we can experience as human beings, but also the healing and the grit and the tenacity that it takes to come together.
Detroit is on the rebound, it's doing great, and there's a lot more yet to come.
Romantic or not, despite it all, we're unapologetically Detroit. We're resilient, we're strong, and we're beautiful. And that's why we're so sexy. Detroit is really sexy.
Take some time to build a relationship. Get to know native Detroiters. Be open to transformation. You never know what might open up. It's worth it.
I am Detroit.
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 And I am Detroit.
I am Detroit, rise
Just to finalize, I just want you to see, this is a project that I'm currently working. It's going to be in May 5th. We are doing the Tamales Festival. You can find the address in the flyer, and you are all welcome to support the local entrepreneurs. And also, I said that I am not an artist, but I know how to work with artists, and so I am happy that I am in Detroit with so many talented people. They don't mind to share their skills and their love for the city, and so I feel part of Detroit. I am also Detroit. Thank you.
They try and erase us, rename us, displace us, but we ain't faceless. Our bodies are here, bold, black, beautiful. We shed tears from the sweat of our ancestors, bask in the glory of their resistance. The blood in our veins is of legends, doctors, poets, musicians. We will not be nameless. They cannot shame us with their propaganda, demand our silence through their genocide. We will not hide behind their trinkets, their choo-choo trains and hockey rinks. We are Detroiters. The black mecca of possibility. We will not go quietly into the night. We carry the fight of Joe Louis, got the black fist to prove it. We are warriors and artists. The innovators they call arsonists in October. They run us over when we resist them, but we're persistent. Generations of resilience, we wage love in a world out to get us productive, despite their insistence. Detroit, the city we won't let die, no matter how much they try us.
Yo. Is this thing on? Yeah. Just joking. I go by the name of Will C. Since everybody's in the marketplace. I'm also with Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. You can look up Will C. You know, he got all my business. He's selling it to whoever he's selling it to, but hopefully the music just goes farther and farther. as he sells my data to others. So you can like Will C, you can friend Will C, all those different things. My new album is not even out yet. It's called Detroit Diplomat, and it's really a concept of, as mentioned before, Detroiters building with the rest of the world, and bringing things back to Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Building those international relationships and then bringing those experiences back to Detroit. Bringing even the international experiences that we have within our own city limits, you know, using that intentionally. And this song right here is produced by a cat named Info, one of the hot young producers in Detroit. I love working with him, out of Southwest Detroit. This track is called Crumble, and it just says, "We gonna stand strong when the skyscrapers crumble," etc., etc. I'm gonna try to make this sound work. Is that all right? All right, let's see how this goes. Yeah. The thing about this song, it's got a lot of references, history, ancestors, all that shit. You know, it's full of Ashe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. We can't breathe, baby. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Call it chokeway. My cast rolled a boatway further than the shore and spitting half my crewman aside to Shakur. What's the Nile to a Moor? What's a model to the runway? Soldier to the gunplay. Beat to the LA. Ask Obadele. Nothing lost but one chain. What's sovereign to the ones chained? What's a diplomat to Tubman? What a diplomat with one aim. Take the niggas back to love land. Through the swamp, through the bogs, through the floods, man. Free the people is the first step to free the land. Slashing Lenny, sneaky niggas up the freedom land. This how we do. We'll see an Info, motherfucker. Did I mumble? We gon' stand strong when the skyscrapers crumble. Fred Hampton, it's a jungle out there with dead panthers. Temple masters behead Samson after head grabbing. Blood in the eye, camouflage, never wear fashion. Chasing Benjamins, hard head, shoulda read Jackson. Mutant cabal, camouflage with the best grit. We chasing. They trying to climb the edges. They trying to climb the Empire State like that. We trying to take them off the plate like that. We trying to make them come on awake like that. We trying to tell them we ain't fake like that. War zone, even our generals bake. So you can get your pot, I'ma take the damn cake. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. We can't breathe, we can't breathe. Oh, Che, we can't breathe. Call it chokeway. Call it chokeway. We'll see an Info, motherfucker. Did I mumble? We gon' stand strong till the skyscrapers crumble. Hopping like a hobbit, jumping like a rabbit, funkin' like it's magic. Yeah, we got to have it. Have you hopping like a hobbit, jumping like a rabbit, funkin' like it's magic. Yeah, we got to have it. We'll see, baby. Did I mumble? We gon' stand strong till the skyscrapers crumble. Hopping like a hobbit, jumping like a rabbit, funkin' like it's magic. Yeah, we got to have it. Detroit Diplo. Detroit Diplo. We gon' stand strong till the skyscrapers crumble, crumble, crumble.
A little storytelling.
Yeah, rise up.
Fuck that shit. Rise up. Yo. I'm feeling like a couple $100 million for really. Get that Mitch in the club love all throughout my city. How I'm dealing. That medicine man image for healing. And that butter fucking leather make the shit look appealing. Banana clip spit 50 cal with the grammar. Dudes 22s with their rhetoric, they don't matter. Anti-gravity. Flyer than they hating and they chatted, that shit don't weigh me down. My eye feather with the swagger, nigga swing. I'm hitting out the park, batter like a spark from the dark of the abyss. Matter, my thoughts amplify, get that shit fatter like I'm bagging with the flour and the egg. Batter the bullshit. Wanna babble, running like loose lips. Call my noggins in 2 clicks. Scoop these poopses. Boo-boo fools is. Truth is, we on the next. If I gotta settle, fuck it. Settle for the best. They settle to settle for less. Let them settle it out. I settle like put to rest. The energy off my chest, nada. Got that fire from the day I dreamed of cream Impalas. Big Mama Grand Prix rolling mad deep with ganja. Dave Word, Lou SPBZ freestyle proper. Kept me proper in line how I chop my thoughts up. Now, laid my groundwork like putting grass down. Mad gratitude for my niggas now. Honor my niggas and my ancestors. My niggas living ancestors. Answers to the prayers blessed up. Sacrifice blood, legacy they left us. And we keep up while we barely keep our pants up. Some measure how many levels we slip on. At the same time, I can see how much we heal from. Balance it out while adjust, transition, and get ghosts on them like I just transitioned. Whoa.
So my face says she's not an artist, but I know better. She's got hidden poems and hidden songs that she makes, that she creates, and she's gonna offer you one in Spanish. And she asked if I would translate it. I said there's no translation necessary. So for anyone who can't, speak Spanish and understand, this is an invitation to feel like what it feels like for other people when the language that's always spoken is not your own. And it's an invitation for you to be able to hear her and hear all of her heart and her emotion and the language she was born into.
Thank you. This poem is called I am the corn, I am the maíz. Soy el maíz. Soy el maíz, que todo lo cura, que todo lo calma, que todo lo puede. Soy el maíz. Soy la que se alimenta, la que día con día se redime. Soy el maíz. Soy pura, soy limpia, soy mágica. Soy el maíz. Soy la imagen de mis pasados, la curación del presente, la esperanza del futuro. Soy el maíz. Cuando tengas hambre, no se te olvide de dónde vienes. Cuando tengas dolor, no se te olvide que tú también eres el maíz.
I know I'm so positive and uplifting. I talked about visionary resistance, right? And so sometimes even some resistance looks many ways, and sometimes even when it's visionary, it's tough to hear, right? And so part of the counter narrative is saying things that not everybody wants to hear, which makes it a counter because it's giving you a new narrative. It's re-spiriting people who have been marginalized and dehumanized. So I'm going to do this poem called Black Child. Black child, born to black child. They say you got no place in this world fixed of judgments. Tell you, your mama ought to be ashamed for birthing a disaster, a bastard child raised by adolescents. Tell you, you won't get very far. Kids like you never do. Say you were doomed at conception. Ain't no village to protect you. Groom your mama through her folly. They'll box you deep into a corner. try and condemn your whole existence, tell you she should have made better decisions, married your father before you were born, black child, born to black child. They will drag you through the mud but stay resilient, carve your mark into the wind, turn your nose up at the naysayers and leave the world better than you entered it.
All right, let me try this new one. This is also from the Detroit Diplomat. This is Sacramento Knox, Adizu Khan on the beat. This was one of my favorite songs on the album, but I haven't, I don't know if I ever performed this whole thing. So we're gonna see how it goes. It's called Lashish, and you know. Oh wait. Where's the flip? I went to Lashish. They said I'm an American. They closed out Lashish and called me a terrorist. Diplomat. Let's see how it go. See my people up in Dearborn, we riding Southwestern. She prayed to the east like Stuyvesant, Bedford. I began less work, she just raised a finger. This voice in the room, her voice stayed and lingered. She pointed to the window, sent me a mental picture. I saw my confinement like I'm sitting in a prison. What's the dang sentence? We couldn't say a sentence. We talked about freedom, other shit I can't mention. She said, what's your culture? I replied, Detroiter. My brother, you're more ancient, ain't nobody ever told you. Your father was a soldier with post-traumatic aura. He got it from his pops and his dad that's before him. A pillar of salt in a tragic Gomorrah. I looked at this woman like, damn, that's my story. She read my life like Professor reads books. We passed a fresh salad and a hot shish to whoop. I went to Lashish. They said I'm an American. They closed out Lashish and called me a terrorist. Lamb and Fatouche, hummus and tabbouleh. They had me on surveillance, but the dummies couldn't fool me. Lashish. Diplomat. Had to meet my mans up in Hamtramck. 1,000 brown brothers down to dismantle capitalism. Told niggas down to legalize ganja. Pop sent a fake ass, robbed the imposter. Asked for pork, spare ribs, Alfredo pasta. Said what up, irate, it looked like he lost. He said, who's your boss? Is there a mic in your locks? I said, you're too late, there's a mic in your thoughts. I said, fuck the police, did it most subliminally. Paul moves liminally, see my sworn enemy. This sucker think he in a born supremacy. Ain't no Matt Damon, you Will Smith wannabe. Said we got you so files right in front of me. You're a damn arouser, damn crowd arouser. Picket power protest, got you by the gonads. Oh man, I went to Lashish. They said I'm an American. They closed out Lashish and called me a terrorist. Lamb and Fatouche, hummus and tabbouleh. They had me on surveillance, but the dummies couldn't fool me. I went to Lashish. They said I'm an American. Closed out Lashish and called me a terrorist. Diplomat. The Asiatic fanatic with planetary grammatics, where we master schematics like military attacking. Peacekeeper, the peacemaker, the tour guide, the beat taker to new places. Who am I? Who you work for? Cuba, Hezbollah. I'm working for the day we get community power, inshallah. His orders came for the mighty dollar. 14 generals, handful of scholars, rest with white collars, passed down orders. Caught the motherfuckers with their masks down. Like Halloween, in other words, children are following, walking through streets with their hands out. Sweet young things looking for treats with their ass out. Some holler tricks, some get scholarships. Cellular signals beam down from motherships. Ain't finna blast myself the way my brother did. If you see my brains on the upstairs rug, know damn well it was a government slug, Lashish.
I want to put some music on. Ah, damn. Just sharing stories. All right, I'm gonna share a story, acapella. So this story, this is a slice of rice, and the point of this story for me really is, it's about uplifting the importance of each one of us taking the time to really self-define the ways that we know we love ourselves, the way we know we think we're smart and cute and brilliant, like, you know what I mean? Talking straight to the point. But in real life though, it's very important to create a really clear impression, if it's words or just in feeling, of who we think we are, because it's the uniqueness of ourselves that allows us to be a unique contribution to this entire thing. So, I pull up to the co-op in Cavalli's, hop up off the bike, plastic bag on the seat and Ferragamo's. I had a pair of shoes that I got in that's Prada. That's how a brother show up based on what I was exposed to. How my people rose us, they grew us like some roses. Showed us how to break through concrete as we grow older. Growing up sort of middle class, weight was on our shoulders. Do better than your parents, but the path they may not show us. But they do their best to expose us to what's better than. My mama went to Yale, father showed me owning land. My mama made a State Department, pop's a businessman. I was on my Halley Cass Tech, then Hampton, man. I went for that finance, money on that Wall Street. But I came back, junior year, I was on the beats. Made a show, promo, I would walk the beat hard with no paddle. First time a real nigga stalked the yard. Mangana gave me an inch, Bryce took a yard. I know he wanted me to go far. And he saw, before I had a J.O., I was on my job. Now I got the work and I'm packaging the black god. What the fuck they talking about? That's how we out here now. That's how we out here now. What? Yeah. That's how we out here now. What? 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 Huh. That's how we out here now. That's how we out here now. I pull up to the justice spot, smelling like I just rolled out the spot. Afronaut, Star Trek, I'm Dr. Spock. Far-fetched the naga from my context, without the drop, out that mega complex. Settle where they plotting crops, plotting ops, plotting options, operate around the clock. Meditate on what resonate, eliminate what blocks, eliminate what toxifies my inner thoughts about my inner state of G and limit me in box. Them the inner enemies, internal battles, be at war with thoughts, brain smart, lack intelligence from heart. Black on that, my art, his sciences are what set him apart. I've been apart, now I want the whole thing, what's up, Osar? In it for the whole thing, bundle not the bag or jar. Bundle like them bandages, bodies battered from tattle scars. Bundled like them packages, gotta get them to travel far. Shipping expeditions in and out of rental cars. Flip tassels in the trenches, how we get our stars and our stripes. Red, black, and green, flip the blue and white. Sipping brew at night, get the mood right. Now she choosing right, put my groove on ice cool like real Tahuti type. Radiating hues of light, gold, blue, and light. Amplifier type, 100 million tune and listen. This is God rhythm, all back to Canton. How Allah script them ancestor chanting, booming systems. Our boom systems, boom, boom systems. What? Our boom systems, boom until they listen. Our boom systems, boom, boom systems. What? Our boom systems, boom until they listen. What? That's how we out here now. That's how we out here now. What? Yeah. That's how we out here now. What? That's how we out here now. What? Ha.
That's how we
here now. Out here now. What? Yeah. That's how we out here now. That's how we out here now. What? Peace.
My day and I are going to offer one more song It's a little song. And we were your little, our ceremonial singers group. This is one of our favorite songs. Before I want to ask our team to come up and get some thanks for putting this series together. So if y'all could move this on to where you are. I wanted them to get some thanks from two societies to a new society. I hope we were leading you on that note of like how, like at least imagining and feeling how we build that new society together. And we've got a few minutes if anybody wants to offer some reflections on that. So, or how this made you feel. Anybody feeling anything? Anybody want to do an interpretive dance about it? Doesn't have to be through words. Liza. Monday. Where is somebody? All right. Where's the all right?
Well, hola everyone. My name is Consuelo Lopez, and I have to say that I sincerely appreciate being here because as a fellow Yelder,
Embrace that, y'all.
yes, I just learned that I was a Yelder last week, so I should have my certificate in 2 weeks. But what I want to say is for everyone that's under the age of 30 in here, is that you don't know, you haven't lived long enough to understand what you are seeing in this room, in this space. Because once you leave here, you're gonna have this in your hand and you're gonna go into silent mode again. So what I charge you to do is that for the rest of this year, have spaces of silence with no technology, and make sure that those spaces are filled with intergenerational and cross-cultural spaces. Because if you don't, you're just going to continue the pattern of destruction. And we have reached a time and point in our humanity that we no longer need those spaces. They are no longer of any use at all, and that we only have each other. So if you want to talk about it, you got to be about it. And if your Facebook friends or digital friends don't reflect your humanity, then you need to find some humanity and create that space. So thank you so much for all my cultural government.
Can we get a word for what, that one line Consuelo said, that said, if your Facebook page don't reflect your humanity, find you some humanity? I mean, if that's not a word, seriously. Seriously, because the Facebook has become the place where we purge sometimes the worst of ourselves. And so, like, if you go through your timeline, and if you like me, at one point the reminders just used to gut punch me. Like, I would get the reminder of something I said on that day a few years. Now I'd be like, so yeah, so my transformation, Facebook, for all this negativity, sometimes it reminds you to find your humanity. And so I appreciate that word that you just gave.
Okay, I want to do a commercial. Rise up. Hey, look, coming up this week, we have Emory Douglas coming to Detroit. This is the first time Emory Douglas has ever been to Detroit, and there's a number of activities that are going to be happening. This is a fundraiser for Baba Wayne Curtis and his program, the Emory Douglas Youth and Family Arts Program. And so we want you to come out and support all those events for folks that are really concerned and trying to figure out how culture comes together with struggle. This is an opportunity to talk to one of the architects. Emory was the Minister of Culture for the Black Panther Party, and if you can't figure out what he did, then if you ever seen that picture of that pig, you know the goddamn pig that means police and occupation. The police, that pig, that's one of his creations. And so come on out, he's done a lot more art than that. But just to give you an idea how art begins to help us build movement and say things to people. Because I know all of y'all, most of y'all are in school or whatever. Everybody ain't trying to read books, so you got to be able to talk to the masses and help mobilize them. Everybody don't want to have to read a book. Look like you're trying to write your PhD. But if you can figure out how to use your art so that people understand what you're talking to, then you begin to resonate with people. That's how you start a movement. Right?
So, just one more thanks and round of applause to our team from U of M Semester in Detroit. For founding this space for us and for inviting us all in and for continuing to hold it with us, for Wayne State's Department of African American Studies. And from the Detroit Equity Action Lab at the Damon J. Key Center for Civil Rights. Consuelo for answering that call, and it just reminds me of Mama Lila's original charge to us on our very first night, is that a really important part of this space is to build relationships and build relationships across cultures and intergenerationally. So thank you for bringing that back in, that is what we need to do. Really great artist. She is another cultural organizer. Grateful to have this space to do that in, and for this semester it's over, but as you know, there's all kinds of opportunities to continue. So we'll be here Thursday writing letters and singing songs for Suwatu. We've got next week all of those events with Baba Emory, so please keep getting out, engaging, get each other's contact information. What time is Suwatu? Is at 5:30. Suwatu. We've been talking about it. Yeah, Suwatu, as you probably know, is the co-director of this space and is fighting for her and her baby's life right now in prison for having defended herself and her family, which she has the right to do. And she was criminalized for that. And there's a whole team of people fighting to try to get her out, and hopefully we'll be victorious. But for now, we got to pray for her and raise the love vibe, as Bryce said. So, freesawatu.org for more information.
freesawatu.org.
And this week's Metro Times is a whole front page cover article about the whole situation.
So, Will C has graciously agreed to take us out, take us home.
Can I just make that one announcement?
One announcement,
yes. The other thing that I appreciated about this space was it really gave you an opportunity to take action from what you learned. And so when you have an experience like this and you don't take it out of the room and be a part of the change, I have this saying that I say, silence is violence. And we have a lot of silence in this country across the country. But tomorrow, there is an opportunity to go to the state and protest the fact that they are no longer delivering water to the people in Flint. And that's an egregious crime for people in Flint to be treated that way. If they were white, they would not have had these. They would not even have had the crisis in the first place. So anybody who wants to go tomorrow to be a part of that contingency that is speaking for Flint, that's an opportunity. There also is an opportunity to protest the Nestle's license. Because right here, right now, we in Michigan have got to block the privatization of the water. Because the whole Flint crisis evolved from that. And so everybody in the room is going to be impacted by that. If water goes from a commodity and not remain in the commons as a human right.
Where and when?
Pardon me?
Where and when?
So we can possibly let you know through a semester in Detroit, but we're going to be doing a Nestle's boycott and a Nestle's against, we're also going to be boycotting against the government and in terms of the fact that they issued a license despite that 96% of the public opinion was that they should not have a license. And so it's a real detailed thing that I don't want to take time to talk about, but what I'm going to charge you and challenge you is now that you know what you're going to do. Okay.
I was asked to do this song to take us out. It's a beautiful thing about this space because you heard all these things you could get involved in. You heard all these ways that you could take action. This song right here is written in honor of those who are putting people back in houses. We got a lot of homes without people, and we got a lot of peoples without homes. And so it's really a solution where we can cut out the middleman. And this song is written in honor of those who are doing that work.
Moral imperative that relates to whether or not people have a right to live outside.
Houses back, take the 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 houses back. They belong to the people, take the houses back. Take the house back, baby. Take the house back, baby. We don't gotta go get nobody's mousetrap. We got what we need in our community. Grab the keys in your hand. Get a crowbar and just meet at the bank. Show at least that we know where the power's at. Take vacant houses, turn them into homes. Let your mental roam like a signal phone. It's true indeed, there's a human need. People on the street, but the crib's empty. This ain't no baby, baby, it ain't no ass to shake. Just to open the bell, get the class awake. It's mad as hell, it's cold as hell. We some northern soldiers, they made us yell. To my southern cousins, let's take it there. On the coast, provoke, protect your peace. Occupy our homes, let's play for keeps. Let's roll the dice, this game is deep. Take abandoned lots, make them guarded plots. Guard the plots, cause the block is hot. Unbar the locks, watch for cops. When we get together, we're hard to stop. Take the house back, baby. We don't gotta go get nobody's mousetrap. We got what we need. Grab the keys in your hand, unlock that. Get a crowbar and just meet at the bank. Show at least that we know where the power's at right here.
Chances of putting this going down.
the houses back. Take the houses back. The needs of the many, baby. We got the mamas, papas, attorneys, doctors, kids in the fosters, vets and doctors, black flag activists, Brems and nomad, grannies, big old families. Oh man.
This way, this way, this way.
Take the house back, baby. Take the house back. No trouble whatsoever. Everybody need a place to kick back. When you get yours, then it's time to give back. Said we can't wait, man. Get your rebatement. Everybody eat it. Come grab your plate, man. My granny, my uncle, on used to share a crib. Where you live is no embarrassment. There you is. She got a house, wrote that check. He got a house, went to court and shit. He got the spot when the folks protest. Man got his spot for a buck and a lease. When the bank's foreclosure game ain't over, I came to the office, marched like soldiers. What's wrong, baby girl? Bring your doll back. Grab your gym shoes, your bike, bring it all back. No trouble, baby brother. Get your ball back. Get your comic books. Come on, grab all that. Take the house back. Take the house back. Take the house back. Grab the keys in your hand. Get a crowbar and just meet at the bank and just show at least that we know where the power's at. Take the house back, baby. Take the house back. Take the house back, baby. Take the house back. Take the house back, baby. Take the house back. Take the house back, baby. Take the house back. Yeah, make some noise for Detroit. Detroit is always in the building. Thank y'all. It's been a beautiful semester.
When you finish, make sure everybody take their chair.
Take the chair back, baby.